While we're doing that, I'll just let folks know if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself in the chat, just what your name is, maybe your company, one or two sentences.
Everybody wave hello to our YouTube audience. Good morning.
We got another Eric Rins Whitmore coming in.
How many ads can we have in a day?
I know, right? I don't know if this world can handle more than one.
I've always wanted a clone, but this is ridiculous.
And I can go in and I can change those names to, oh my God, there's another one. I can change those names to something else. There's obviously something weird going on in the system. So anyone who shows up as an Eric Rins Whitmore, please change your name to something else.
To your real name. We want to know your real name.
Yes, please.
Well, I could rename myself to Spartacus, and then.
Right.
That would be interesting to have a room full of Eric Rins Whitmores.
It's like being John Malkovich.
My nightmares are alive.
All right. Well, that's our technical issue this morning, everyone. Everyone started showing up as Eric Rins Whitmore, but it looks like, yeah, we have 3 Eric Rins Whitmores in here. If you can change your name, if you don't know how, message me and I can go in and change it for you. Meanwhile, it is past 9 a.m. and that's a no-no for us.
We normally get kickoff time,
right? Go for it.
Okay, everybody. It's 1 Million Cups Albuquerque. We've got the T-shirts. We've got the mugs. If this isn't what you're here for, you could go now. But we are 1 Million Cups Albuquerque, caffeinating entrepreneurs nationwide every Wednesday. So we're sponsored by the Kauffman Foundation, and our mission is connection, presentation, and education for entrepreneurs. So again, our mission is to lower the barrier of access. It's tough being an entrepreneur, and you need help, and you need help in areas that you don't even know that you need help in. So we educate, we offer resources, and we offer authentic connections for new and aspiring entrepreneurs all across the United States. We have a national and local mission. So we work toward that by creating a consistent program for every presenter nationwide. So if you go to 1 Million Cups anywhere, you might be in a room full of strangers, but they're really friends you haven't met because the format is exactly the same. We're all coached in how to run 1 Million Cups, and we like to coach our presenters to a standard format. So of course, while the format is the same, every community has its own strengths and has its own valuable connections. So we certainly value that, and people who have visited us from the outside have lots of nice things to say about Albuquerque. In the Southwest, we are the lone Million Cups chapter in New Mexico, but there are lots of them in Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and Arkansas, also, as you can see on the map. So I've traveled physically to other 1 Million Cups locations back in the old days, and I've traveled virtually to several others. And I encourage you to do that. If you're a real fan of Million Cups, you can take advantage of it being nationwide, jump in on the East Coast, finish Million Cups, and then come up to Million Cups in California. And if you're really fast, you could go to California. So you could go to 2 or 3 Million Cups in a day if you're that kind of person. So what are the key pillars of Million Cups? So presentations, not pitches. Most entrepreneurs are familiar with the concept of a pitch, where you're peacocking your company, presenting yourself as invulnerable, unique, and poised to take over your sector. The inside of a startup is quite different. You have bottlenecks, you have vulnerabilities, things you don't know, resources that you need to be connected to, and people that you need. So that's what we emphasize in our presentations. We'd like people to make authentic connections to get the help that they need. And that is authentic connections, not networking. We're not doing speed dating and passing out business cards and trying to sell you services. We're trying to make authentic connections to make your entrepreneurial journey easier. So we're run for the community, by the community. All of the Million Cups organizers are volunteers. All the people attending have something to offer to other people. And you just have to work the room in the old days or follow the chat currently. to find the help that you need. We're also radically and intentionally inclusive. We're coached by National to do outreach to people that tend to be underrepresented in the entrepreneurial community, and to types of businesses that tend to be underrepresented, like small businesses as opposed to tech startups. So we work hard to try to include everybody and help all entrepreneurs in their journey. It is easy to apply to present. We're very friendly. You simply talk to one of us in the chat, email, phone, in the future, face-to-face, anything that's going to work for you. If you're eligible to present, if your company's been in business for 5 years or less, and you've sold something to someone who's not your mom. So if you want to present, get in touch with us. We'll assign you a coach, and we'll get you in shape to present here or anywhere else you'd like afterwards. We have a great organizing team. I'm Paul Sauter, Chief Scientific Officer at Equiseek. Lisa Atkins at FatPipe, Eric Renz-Whitmore, an ecosystem developer, Bob C. Sanandale, Sonia Doing at Plot Duckies, and Charles Garrison, CEO of 10X Marketing. So all these folks are friendly and helpful, and you should reach out to one or all of us. We wouldn't be here without our sponsors. First, FatPipe, where we used to physically meet in the old days. And I'm going to kick it over to Lisa for a minute because she has some news about FatPipe. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, I am hosting 1 Million Cups today live from Taos. So this is our newest location. We're going to be located in the Kit Carson Command Center. Probably the best internet in the state. I'm not going to lie. It's really exciting. I would pick up my camera and show you around, but there's really not much to see yet. I'm meeting here today with our security and access control systems and our IT guy. So we're really excited. We should be open no later than June 1, but I'm hoping May 1.
All right. So if you're starting out and you're looking for a great place to be housed, FatPipe has several locations where when you take off your headphones and get up, you can rub elbows with other entrepreneurs. So it's a great place to work. We also thank Loza & Loza. He used to buy us coffee in the old days. They're intellectual property attorneys, so patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Miriam from More Than Organized would be happy to help you straighten out your stuff and your thoughts and get you on the path to success. Jason Collin Photography, always making us look good. And Noventum Custom Software Development, providing donuts in the old days. So thanks to all of our sponsors. And we don't have the last slide. Okay. So I'm going to stop sharing. So before we introduce our speaker, every week we have new people here. And I'd like to offer the opportunity for some of the new folks here who are here for the first time or who aren't regulars to introduce yourselves. And if no one jumps in, now it is really a property of entrepreneurs to just jump onto the stage when the opportunity is given to you. So I'd like to see some of that. If I don't see some of that, I'll start calling on you. So don't make me do that. 3, 2, 1. Okay, Melanie, tell us about Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs.
Oh, good morning, Albuquerque. Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs. Hi, guys. I know a lot of you, familiar faces. Great to see you. We are based out of here in Santa Fe. We do entrepreneur storytime events. And so tomorrow we have a Zoom event, which is going to be Liz Brinley, Prints and Plants, young creative who was selling products, now doing like Skillshare, and she sells also some of her items that she makes and also courses that she teaches through the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. So it's really awesome to see such a young entrepreneur doing such great things. And so very excited because she's on Zoom tomorrow, but I think she may be our last one. At least we're going to try for May in person here in Santa Fe. So I'm actually super excited to announce that. Yay!
That's great news. Thanks for sharing. Hans, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. My name is Hans Sundquist, and I'm co-founded Stockley with my wife. It's an online membership general store. And we sell regionally produced dry goods, pantry staples, bath and body stuff, lots of fun stuff. That's all produced within 400 miles of Santa Fe. And if you're a small producer, you get 100% of the cost at checkout. And so it's been exciting. We launched on Cyber Monday, and we're figuring out how to grow. So, and meeting people like you all has been awesome way to engage and get insights, and hoping I can offer some insights as well. So
thank you, Hans. And you can see that Lisa's on it right away and has already invited you to present. So please take advantage of that opportunity.
for sure.
Anybody else want to introduce themselves?
Am I unmuted? I'm Sheila.
Yes, you are.
Hey, sorry, I usually jump right in, but yeah, I had to unmute and rename, and it's my first time here, so glad to be here. I'm in Albuquerque, and I own Ravenkind Productions. I'm a longtime writer of films, but I started producing about 5 years ago. I've done a couple projects in Santa Fe, and now I'm producing a feature film. So a lot of things changing for me. I'm going to ramp up cast and crew later this year. So I'm excited to be here and meet you all.
So thank you, Sheila. Drop your contact info in the chat. We have some people with connection to film who'd probably love to talk to you if they don't know you already.
Excellent, thanks.
And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Eric, who will introduce our speaker.
Excellent. Yes. Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for everyone to come today. I'll also mention it's relatively easy to get set up to present. Hopefully, it's not too painful. A couple of you I know we've invited, but if you are, if you're interested in having a conversation with local entrepreneurs about continuing to grow your business, 1MCABQ Cups is a really good place for that. So just visit 1MCABQ.com and that'll take you. And you can also talk. We're relatively friendly people. And if you find me scary, Paul and Sonia and Lisa are far less scary sometimes. But with that, I am really excited. I had a chance to ride one of these e-bikes just a couple of weeks ago. So we've been talking a little bit with Susan Gouch for I don't know, for a few weeks now, and we're really excited about that coming into the Albuquerque market. Susan's background is in learning and in technology. However, she is a fairly recent transplant to New Mexico, and just seems like a really good opportunity for our community with free to roam e-biking. And with that, I'll hand it off to Susan, and we'll get her stuff on screen.
Hello all, Susan Gouch. I confess, actually, I'm not a transplant. I grew up here in Albuquerque, and but I have been gone for 30 years. So I've been in LA, Chicago, and Honolulu for the last 30 years, but I'm just returning now and loving it. Just thrilled to be back in New Mexico for sure. So with that though, I'm launching a new e-biking company, and it's called Free to Roam eBiking. And as Eric said, I'm sorry, can you hear all right? Okay, sorry, I thought somebody said I was muted. Anyway, so we're in the process of launching right now, and we've got, I'll just go through some of this real quick. Our core mission here is to enable a lifestyle that's enjoyable, affordable, healthy, and eco-friendly. And this is for all ages, abilities, and communities. And we're doing this through active mobility, outdoor recreation, and agile transportation. We've got 3 different offerings that we're going to do. I'll go more in depth into this a little later on, but suffice it to say, we're focused on adventures. So these are the rides, tours, types of things.
Susan, you want to share your screen? We can't see your presentation.
Oh my God, that's why you're saying. Okay, sorry. Let me
No worries. It's first thing in the morning.
I know, I forgot that little detail. All right, here we are back. So yeah, one more window to move here. I was just going through what the goals and what our core mission is here. We've got 3 different offerings that I'll explain more in depth in just a bit here, but it's new adventures. So these are the rides, tours. The lifestyle is we're doing sales, so somebody owning their own e-bike. And then my background actually is in higher education. I've been a university professor doing learning and technology stuff in the various places I've lived. And a lot of that has been executive leadership type of stuff. So this is about B2B, employee team building, wellness and incentives, which right now is going to be really critical for a lot of organizations. Who am I? Well, I was a kid of the 70s. I had the most killer bike, as did pretty much everybody then. And but what I really wanted, I would paste or tape little playing cards to the spokes that made it sound like a motorcycle when we went. And I'm sure I'm not alone in having done that all the time. But really, my fantasy was to have a real motor, not a fake one, on that bike. And I've been thinking about that since I was about that age. Finally, in 2007, it became real for me, or 2017. This is me picking up a younger daughter and her BFF at school on a cargo electric bike here. And after about 6 months of having this bike, I knew I was riding farther than I'd ever been. I was seeing things all around the neighborhood that I never noticed before. I was grounded in the community because I'd talked to people on the street. I'm healthier, stronger, more toned. I actually lost 12 pounds without actually trying. It was a little alarming, to be honest, when I finally figured out that was happening. So the doctor basically said, "You're doing this every day. This is a no-brainer." So I also grew an inch somehow. He explained that's because of my posture is a little bit better. I know I'm breathing deeper, and then I don't break a sweat. I would ride to work all the time, often in a skirt and heels, and I would show up at work. I had helmet hair some days, but beyond that, I was pretty presentable. And then you know, you get the breeze on your face when you're doing that. Within 6 months, I also decided my car was a liability, not an asset. And I even had a Prius too, by the way. But I just found that it was my locker. That's basically what it boiled down to. It's where I kept my gym bag and my running shoes and all that swim gear. So I figured out how to get all of that on that cargo bike. I ended up becoming very popular, especially with the dads and the kids. And that's my story, but I'm not alone. Just a little sort of broader scope here. From 2019 to 2020, so June to June, there was almost a 200% growth in a single year of e-bikes. And you can see just from the graph how they relate to all the other bike sales. Now, mind you, this started 9 months before the pandemic did. Everybody knows that everybody went nuts getting on their bikes during the pandemic, but this measurement, 9 months of it was prior to that. There's a lot of things, lots and lots of things going on. You may have heard just recently in the US House of Representatives, a 30% tax credit has been introduced for all citizens who would be purchasing an e-bike. This, of course, is part of the move to more sustainable infrastructure. Here in Albuquerque, you're probably well aware of the increased number of bike lanes and the bike boulevards, and Vision Zero, which is all about the safety. Our new Secretary of Transportation here is already doing the rounds at bike summits and bike conferences, talking about an e-bike friendly America. And just recently, I had the good fortune of working with State Senator Antonio Cedillo Lopez, and she introduced a bill here in New Mexico to the most recent session, which sadly never made it to the floor, given everything else they were doing. But this would be officially defining e-bikes in the state of New Mexico with 3 different classifications. And this is really important for the safety and the regulation and so forth of e-bikes. So with our company, what I'm really focused on right now is starting small and growing tall eventually. And there's 3 different sort of stages at large that we're focused on here. The first one is just to go to market. There's been a lot of advocacy, as I've just said, but we're now moving into the test ride. So Eric was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first that got to ride on the bikes. And we're doing a bunch of community outreach, and a lot of this is about lead generation. We'll be giving out coupons and gift certificates and all that kind of stuff. We've just arranged a deal with, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ebiking Cafe over by Old Town, but we're going to be there. So if you ever want to come do a test ride, that's probably going to be the best place, at least right out of the gate, where to find us. Ultimately, though, we're working on this year getting out the 3 different offerings that I mentioned. So rides and tours, they're going to be both for people visiting New Mexico. They might be just sort of going around the city. We've got a couple different routes and rides that we're working on designs there. But the rides will be anywhere from 60 minutes to all day. And we've got a couple different versions. I'll talk more about the different types of connections or the partnerships and the themes, if you will, of the tours. The other piece, though, that is most of interest to me is people taking on a new lifestyle. It was really transformational for me, and it made a huge, huge difference in my life. I will say also that the average e-bike owner right now is in their 50s, and it stands to reason. It's all about vitality and mobility and staying active. So with that, we're going to be working on sales, and I'm working on developing a subscription model, sort of like what you do with your phone. You've got an upfront cost, but then there's a monthly thing, and that just sort of evens out the cost barrier there. Ultimately then, but not for another year at least, we'll talk about we're building like a prototype here in Albuquerque, but then the goal is to scale that out into other cities within New Mexico. So I've been talking with lots of folks in these different areas of New Mexico. So yeah, as I mentioned, Ebiking Cafe, it's right near Old Town. It's a farm. It's right off of the Bosque Trail also. And so I don't know if we're going to be there every Thursday through Sunday, but we're getting our social media stuff going right now, and so we can keep you posted. But with that, there's a couple different types of partnerships that we're very much interested in and somewhat pursuing already. On the bike side, we do have suppliers, got a couple of bike mechanics that we're working with, including a mobile one, Beachy Fix. Mark Altamarino is working with us. Other local businesses, so there's the hotels and Airbnbs. I also actually run a few Airbnbs. This is how I managed to get back into New Mexico. And it's perfect for the guests. But more so restaurants and cafes, sort of like what we're doing with Bike and Coffee. There's a couple different bike shops that we've been in conversations with. It's a great way that we call it outdoor spinning. So I've been talking with the yoga instructors and other, physical trainers. And then artists. My goal is actually to have a lot of the bikes designed by artists and have skins on the bikes. We've been doing a lot. I'm working with a lot of the planners here at the city of Albuquerque, the state, and then hopefully nonprofits. We've got a couple different contractors. I'm not going to go into that right now, but I've been working with what you'd imagine web and social media sort of things. And then ultimately, we would have operators at the satellite stations in the different cities in New Mexico. And just real quick, the startup team, it started as a very family-friendly thing. These are my cousins once removed here on the left, Sophia and Aubrey. My son is, he's big with the legislative stuff and has been in DC working with Senator Elizabeth Warren, and he's helped out tremendously with the advocacy stuff. Javi was living with me for quite a while in the fall and really got us going with the bikes. And this is our current launch team. These are our first round of ride guides. So Sherry Heyer, she's actually living up in Taos, but she's been a professional bike racer and bike mechanic for some time. She's my age, so she's ready to get everybody else out and going. And then this is Rob Gomez. He's on our trailer, by the way. This is our little e-bike pod, transportation mode. And he also we've lived all the same places. He's been in Hawaii and LA and grew up here. But he's a great guy, and he's also going to be leading some of our initial tours. And with that, I'm going to stop. There's our URL. And I'm open to questions here.
So is it going to use like a mobile app like some other e-bike companies
No,
use?
no, and I can't see who's talking here, but it's not. It's going to be differentiated. I'm not angling for a bike share, and which is generally what you're getting with the apps.
Clifton, you can ask your question.
So are you manufacturing or reselling or?
Yeah, exactly. I'm reselling. I'm not manufacturing. There's plenty of e-bike manufacturers out there. And so I've been working with a couple different companies. Most recently and more prominently that we're going with right now is called company Rad. They're based out of Seattle. They do Rad power bikes, but they're great.
And was that a Surly you were riding with your cargo?
I'm sorry, what?
That cargo bike that you had the kids on, what brand was that?
Benno. In fact, we just called the bike Benno. I should note also, I ended up giving Benno to some friends of the friends because they had been avid mountain bikers, and the husband came down with a rare sort of autoimmune deficiency issue, and it impacted his muscles. So he hadn't been able to ride a bike for over a year. And I just happened to be storing it in the garage. It was my cousin, blah, 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 blah. They saw the bike, and his wife rode it upon my request, actually, just to get somebody riding it. And she realized he could probably ride it. And he did. It was the first time he was able to ride a bike for a year. Anyway, they bought it. They're like, we just need this. This is going to change everything for us.
And okay, am I on mute still?
No, I hear you.
Oh, good. So, one of the things, there's so many players coming into the market. Are you identifying? One of my colleagues told me that you ought to look for Bosch Engineering as your driveline. So I'm just curious what you're finding out.
I'm very familiar with Bosch. In fact, Benno is a Bosch bike. Here's a couple different angles that I have. You're right. It is, everybody's jumping on this. And there's going to be a lot that happens in the bike technology and the design of the bikes. I have zero interest in being a manufacturer or a designer of the bikes. There's plenty of that to go around. What I'm really interested in is the lifestyle. I'm not selling a bike. I'm selling a lifestyle. And so with that, when we're doing like the sales and the subscription, that's going to include, not just the bike and the assembly and the outfitting, but all the accessories, as well as a mobile and a maintenance plan that goes with that. And so there's a lot that goes into it, especially if you're going to use this for transportation. I mean, it took me a year to really figure out everything. I told you my car was my locker. That needed to all transfer over to the bike. And so I've got it pretty much down how to do this. So that's part of the service that we're providing. We're also going to have the Free Roamers Club. And that'll be a community glue from all of it. I realized I didn't get my slide in there on that one. But it's about people, one, changing their own lifestyle for the health benefits and the vitality and the freedom that it affords you, and fun. Dare we bring up the most important thing? It's just fun as hell. It's also the infrastructure is important to me. I will die a happy person if New Mexico's infrastructure really starts to build out for a more sustainable and their work, sort of plan. And I know that happens at the federal level. It's going to happen at the state and the local, but New Mexico's getting on it, and I've been working with them quite a bit, the city, and it's been great. In fact, I'm going to be working with their community planning assessments because they asked if I could bring the e-bikes for test drives so that they can do their outreach in the different neighborhoods. So,
hey Susan, I just have an idea, right? These calls are good for people just to think outside the box and listen to what you're doing and put our own life into the situation. COVID has impacted everyone's lives, and the whole entertainment industry has been impacted.
Yeah.
So you have these indoor facilities that people would go to for birthday parties, to spend time with their family. There's probably an age range for the bikes, but we have daughters that are getting invitations to the drive-by birthday party where you get to just wait because you can't spend time. Is there a way to incorporate still a birthday party, but there's, social distancing, they're separated, they're outside, active, to kind of tap into that market?
Yeah, I think, I'll go back to the picture of me and that's my younger daughter and her friend. And I even have pictures of it at the birthday party where actually I had 3 kids on, not anymore, they're too big, but when I think it was the 6-year-old birthday party at that time, I could get 3 of them on the back. And it's a load of fun. It's not an angle that I've been taking, but more so to your point about COVID and the social distancing and people wanting to get together in the escape rooms and all that. It's more about the B2B piece that I'm more interested in and working with organizations as they try to go back to work. We all know this is going to be very different. And, how this really plays out, we don't know yet, but employee engagement and connections and relationships is going to be key when it's highly likely there won't be a lot of people in the office any time in the near future here. And so having those types of activities, I also have a professional background in doing leadership stuff, taught leadership for, I was going to say a gazillion years. That's not true. But for the last 7 years, I've been doing executive education programs in public policy and business. And I know there's a need for it. And that's where I would be more focused myself. That's not to say other people can't do the birthday parties and wedding activities and 40th birthday. Be more appropriate for the 40th birthday than
Totally understand. Just as a follow-up, is there a way to tap into those businesses that have already created that sales channel?
Yeah.
And they're offering your service as just another offering in their portfolio, in their service deck. So then you just are providing the service, but they're the one actually making the sale for you.
I hadn't thought about that. Yeah. And I'd put it here with the local business type of stuff. I am, and again, I'm old enough and far enough along in my career that I can kind of be a little bit picky here. My goal is really to, one of the goals is to work with local businesses and to really sort of help that along. Now, these ones, the local ones, so I don't want to go for the big chain escape room kind of places, but local businesses that are struggling, who, for whom that could be a really good synergy. I'm all for it for sure. It's a good idea. I hadn't even thought of that, but I'll put that on the partner list.
So we've got a lot of questions. I think we probably have all the questions we can use. So I'll just run down the order of folks that we've got. So we've got Miriam, we've got Adam Brechtel, we've got Jason Collin, Sheil, Kenneth, and Michael. And that'll probably round us out for questions. So please try and keep the questions and answers short, and then we'll get through all these. Thank you so much.
I have a quick question, but also I wanted to build on what Adam was just saying, as there are several tour groups in town that do very high-end tours and things, they might be a great fit to talk to them as people start traveling again. But I have the super basic question. What the heck is an e-bike and how is it different from a regular bike? And it, you know, it says you go farther and it's like, so I don't have to pedal at all. Do I have to pedal? Like, explain to those of us that are not familiar.
Well, you know what? You'll be familiar because now you'll tune into it. When you go outside, I would say if you go down to the Bosque and ride on there, 1 out of 5 bikes is electric. And they're generally not the ones that are passing you, by the way. It's still the guys in spandex who are passing you. But an electric bike, it has a motor. It's either with the pedals or it's in the back called a hub drive. And then it has a battery. You can usually spot it because the battery is a bit larger. And I'm sorry, I didn't make a slide with this one. I do have it on the website though. But the battery pack, you know, usually sits in the center frame in the little triangle there. You can usually spot that. There's 2 different systems with an e-bike. One is called pedal assist. So basically it gives you a little boost when you pedal, but the idea is you continue to pedal. There's some that will have a throttle. So it's sort of like a motorcycle throttle, actually. I was very anti-throttle. My first bike did not have a throttle and I thought that was great. Right now, actually, I'm very pro-throttle for a couple of reasons. One, it extends the range of the battery substantially because what it means is I'm not using the battery when I already have momentum and gravity and my own power working in my favor, right? So I get 2, if not 3 times the range when I just use a throttle. I keep pedaling though. I'm always pedaling. And it feels like I'm just riding a regular bike. I just have a little boost, and especially going up the hills or the headwinds. So now today, if I'm like taking a break from work, I go out and ride. I'll come back an hour and a half with 30 miles on my odometer that I just did. And I'll go out to Los Ranchos and to Corrales and over up to the Sandias. I'm in the Southeast Heights right now. Right. But for me to just do that and I'm getting out and about, I'm relearning Albuquerque too. So this has been fantastic for me to relearn the city, just getting around.
Okay, cool.
I think we've got Adam Brechtel up next. Thanks, Miriam.
Hey, Susan, thanks for taking me out. And Eric the other day, riding around.
Yeah.
Looking forward to possibly getting into one of them myself. I'm curious about the people that you've worked with so far, anyone has taken on a bike, and you've sort of talked about it, like, you know, some of the problems they have in like putting into their world. What have you been doing about that?
I'm not
like what are the problems they face?
Sorry.
Yeah. What are the problems people are facing when they get an e-bike into their life? And what are you doing to deal with that?
Got it. Well, a lot of it is actually how you get it outfitted. So if somebody's going to take this and be serious about riding a bike more or as much as they're using the car, there's a number of things in terms of what you need to have on your bike with you. So, you know, I always had an extra jacket. I had the rain pants because, of course, I had, you know, the drought ended in California when I was there and we got rained on all the time, but I had the rain gear. I always had extra helmets there because of the kids. And then I had all the stuff that in my car. I had my workout shoes, my swim gear. I got rid of the kickboard and the fins. It was too big, but I still had my goggles and my earplugs and a tiny little towel. So, you know, kind of how do you take it from you're so used to all of the SUV of all your stuff, not to mention my makeup and my glasses and my Advil and all that other stuff. I had different pouches for it, right? And extra change. But I never had to put the change in the parking meter, by the way. And so moving that, and then just understanding the range of your battery, understanding safety is huge. There's a lot when you are riding on the street, when people aren't moving that it's an electric bike and you're moving faster than they're anticipating you're going to be moving. So there's a lot around the safety, your own safety, and the security of the bike. You don't want to get that one ripped off. So there's a lot of that goes there. There's other things when you're riding it and getting used to that drive system and so forth.
All right, thank you. How about Jason?
Good morning. Hi, Susan. You actually kind of just mentioned a question that just came into my mind as a second part to my original question of security, since I follow a couple of mountain biking groups on Facebook, and almost every week someone has a bike stolen in a situation you would think would be nearly impossible to have a bike stolen from. So just if people are using your bikes and stuff like that, what kind of security you would suggest to them? Like, don't leave it unwatched anywhere, especially if they're using it for commuting, because then you're going to have a lot of stuff that might be, e-bikes are heavier. And just my original question besides that was, are you focusing on city bikes and commuter bikes and bikes for on pavement, since mountain bikes are not really allowed on a lot of trails, like the closest trails, the Sandias and stuff? Technically, e-bikes aren't allowed, even though I see them on the trails.
Yeah. And that's largely what the legislative piece was. So the SB 369 that we had in the introduced in this last session, unfortunately, it didn't make it to the floor. But the Department of Interior actually has allowed e-bikes on, they're classified as bikes instead of motor vehicle. And so with that will, every state's adopting this framework. So basically the framework that we had in this bill is very much like what 28 states, including all of our neighboring states, have already adopted this legislation. That being said, it'll be a while here in New Mexico. But as duly noted, it's not regulated much. We need to obey. To that point, there are plenty of trails though here where you can ride the e-bikes. And great stuff like on the south side of I-40, by the way, if you wanted to do the mountain biking and gravel riding. But yeah, around the city. And so the hybrid bikes, basically, again, the age range that I'm anticipating we're going to be hitting the most, and I know this just from being out there right now, are going to be people my age in their 50s, 60s, who aren't riding quite as gnarly as maybe they used to, or never been riding gnarly, but they really like to go out and do cool, frolic around the town. So yeah, that's what we're focusing on. Security, huge, you need the right kind of locks. People just think a lock is a lock, and that's not true. And so, knowing how to lock it. Eventually GPS systems, we've got little portable GPS system, but they're not foolproof or theft proof. But GPS systems are starting to be built into the bikes for security reasons. And we might build that into the subscription plan, that if something happens, but we need to make sure people are locking up the bikes.
Right. We've got, is it Sheil and?
Yeah, hi. I got my e-bike in September.
There you go.
I've been riding for very long, but it's been my best friend, in lockdown. It was the best thing I've done this last year. And I'm out on it a lot. I live on the East Foothills, so I can ride up above Tramway and get completely out of traffic.
Yep.
I'm always by myself because my old biker buds can't keep up. And so I'm really excited to, meet some other people that are riding. My biggest complaint is flat tires, the goat heads. And so I'm gearing up. I've got to get better tires and tubes.
It is true here in New Mexico, you get that. And we've had good luck with, we've tried out different kinds of goo. If you want to ping me later, I can go more in depth on some of that, but it is a thing. But the goo has saved my butt a couple times here already, just since I've been back. So like in the last 5 or 6 months, there's been at least twice where that go and screws like on the street. So yeah, but goo, That's my advice.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it looks like there's some other, let's see, other comments in the chat as well. Next up, I think I saw a hand from Kenneth earlier.
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. We're working with the Cibola County on eco-tourism and purchased the Red Lion Inn to create it into a conference center that focuses on ecotourism. But bike riding came out as probably the priority in the grants at Cibola and the different areas within that community to go ride. So I think you're right on this business. I'd love to talk to you later about how we could work together on that. But I did want to mention that the legislature did appropriate some funds for ecotourism promotion to the Department of Tourism. And so, and again, bike riding was up there. I've ordered 2 electric bikes to go with my motorhome, but they're back ordered. So I'd like to talk to you. I'd like to talk to you to see if I could buy them through you. So I'd rather buy them local.
You raise a really good point. The supply chain is a significant issue. It has not worked itself out yet from last year, and they're projecting it'll probably be 2022, 2023 before that supply chain. So it's not only the bikes themselves, but getting parts. So that's why I've tried to move fast on some of it. I know I wouldn't say I know what's going on entirely, but I've got a few leads where the supply chain does seem to be moving, but timing is crucial right now. So yeah, reach out to me. And I've also been working with, there's the new, as part of the state economic development, there's the Division of Outdoor Recreation. So Axie Navas is heading that up, and I've been working with Axie and some of the other folks there too. And I know, in fact, grants, the city of Grants got a grant from the EPA. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but I've been in on a number of those sessions also.
Right, they had a week long conference.
Yeah,
and I participated in that.
Yeah. So you probably just got the report from that. My sense is there wasn't enough focus on the bikes there. I didn't push it, but there's a couple of people up in Grants who I've been talking to who are really interested. But anyway, Kenneth, let's talk. God, I didn't put my email address, but I'm sure we can get that out.
Thank you.
Actually, here, I'll tell you. It's hello@freeToRoamEbiking.com. Okay, hello.
All right, last question from our audience. We got Michael McDonald, avid cyclist.
Yeah, so I'm a very avid cyclist. I used to bike to 1,000,000 Cups every week, but I bike all around. So and I've thought about e-bikes, and in some ways, it's like the reason I haven't gotten one is that most of my biking I can do better, but there's a couple things. One of them is shopping, and one of them is going to like Santa Fe. Yeah. And I'm wondering if when you talk about tours, if you're talking about like big, beautiful tours, and it would be wonderful doing a group tour, to Santa Fe or something like that through Madrid. The other is that locking it stuff. And you've already kind of addressed it. I'm wondering, do they not have like internal systems to lock the gear train?
Designer. So there's a couple different things. I'm going to try to hit on all of it very quickly. The manufacturers are starting to build that in. And the different companies also, especially like the rideshare, this is happening more in Europe. Way more is happening in Europe. Everybody in Europe has an e-bike. Likewise with Asia right now. The US is so behind. So this is my confidence. This will happen here, but our infrastructure is built around the car in the United States. That is not true in Asia or Europe. And so that's why it's happened so much there. That being said, the European bike makers are really starting to build that in. What they're also doing infrastructure wise is they're building little pods in the city where you can safely lock up your bike, and it's covered or locked up, and you get a membership to be able to park your bike safely in the different pods around the cities. Different corporations are starting to build up. So when we go into B2B type of relationships, and have incentives for employees to ride to work, you know, they're not going to be giving you $600 a year anymore for the gym membership as part of the wellness perk, but they might subsidize a bike, especially if you're getting a 30% tax credit for a corporation. You know, that's a no-brainer, right? And so, but what they would have to have instead of huge parking lots at the office is infrastructure for safely and securely parking the bikes. So that's my spout. But yeah, come ride with me and we'll see where else you want to ride. Oh, back to the Santa Fe. We've been going up through Madrid. The 14 between Albuquerque and Madrid, or like Tejeras up to Madrid, can get pretty gnarly. Like, you know, through Tejeras, you've got that long bike path that's there, and then you can go up to Sandia Peak. You know, it might be a little dangerous. I'm jacking up the liability insurance here. But riding around Cerrillos is.
You have
really
enough range?
Say it again.
You have the range to do that?
A couple of different things. One, you can always carry an extra battery on your bike. So if we were doing these full day tours, absolutely. Each bike, and whenever I buy a bike, I'm getting an extra battery. But to carry that extra battery on the bike isn't that big of a deal. They're between 7 and 10 pounds. I mean, it is weight. The bikes are heavier, generally speaking. But yeah, it's doable. It's totally doable. And we're not there yet, but it's absolutely totally doable.
Well, clearly this has been a popular session. Lots of great questions and answers. Great presentation. I've got my final two questions for us here. First of all, the most important question we all have on our minds is the state question of red or green.
Christmas.
Christmas. Nice choice. We always appreciate that. And also, if there's like one thing that you want folks to focus on, what can folks in our community do to help you?
I'm coming back to Albuquerque. I'm reacclimating myself, and a large part of this is about the connections. So all of the ideas that you all had were fantastic. And if there's individuals who you think I should be talking to, an introduction would be so greatly appreciated. So this would be around the partner, you know, potential partners and other relations. And then the B2B connections, any business who, you know, is angling to have people coming back to work to some degree, or, you know, again, that could be the team building or bike to work type of stuff. And then the advocacy is really disappointing that we didn't get time on the floor with the Senate and the session that was jam-packed. Maybe in these special sessions that are happening with the cannabis, we could maybe sneak in a little e-bike bill here. I've also worked with an alliance of the outdoor rec, and we've got over 150 retailers who've been supporting this bill also. So there's a lot of people supporting it. It just needs to get heard. So anybody who is interested in helping with that advocacy would be also very appreciated. So those are my asks. Connections, basically.
Well, thank you very much. Let's see, if you have a chance, go ahead and put your contact information again in the chat. Let's see, I'm going to press, I'm going to add a bunch of events. We'll try and do events pretty quickly. Let's see, today, not long after this, Fat Pipe Fat Pipe is all over New Mexico. Fat Pipe has a special cybersecurity session that's coming up from 11:30 to 1. That's in the chat. For those of you who are into robots, QLab is a cool makerspace. They've got an online show us your robots kind of thing. March of the Robots is a thing they've done for several years. So that's this evening. Thursday, you got Taza, already mentioned Kick-Ass Entrepreneurs. They've got an event Thursday nights. On Friday, there's Adam's Friday Flow. let's see, coming up on Sunday, a friend of 1 Million Cups and the community, Carlos Contreras, just real great guy. He's got a new gig, Art on the Rio, where every week they're selling artworks, aligned with aligned with breweries and some other stuff. Oh, I need to throw a link in there. A couple of other things that are coming up. Let's see, we've got, well, first of all, Startup Office Hours with Activate NM returns third Thursday. So that's going on next week. And then coming up a few weeks down the road, a couple of us here in New Mexico, and somewhat on theme for today, a couple of us in New Mexico are helping with the National Techstars Startup Weekend on Sustainability. And that runs the weekend of April 23rd to 25th. So if you're interested in any aspect of sustainability, from mobility to really to anything, we're doing that special Startup Weekend event, and I'll post some more information through our channels. But that is all that I've got for right now. Thank you very much. And I'm not sure, we don't have a ton of time. I think we were maybe going to rooms for a brief discussion.
I'm sorry. So yeah, breakout rooms. We have the COVID-19 with Paul, and you can have further discussion with Susan in the free Jerome e-bike room. I'm going to open the rooms now. You should be able to select your own room, but if you want my help, just post it in the chat. You guys have a great day, and we'll see you next week. Sorry, Art, I'll be right with you. Jessica, I gotcha. Athena, do you want to go anywhere? Kenneth?
Bike group.
I'm sorry, which one?
Bike group.
The bike group? Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sheila, do you want to go anywhere? Oh, I see ya. Okay. Athena, Andrea, do you guys want to go to a room? Athena or Andrea, are you there?
Hey, sorry, I was on a call. But no, I'm going to leave.
Okay, I'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, have a good day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
Are you there? Sorry. All right, I'm gonna go.